Hi, this is Dusty King with King & King with another landlord-tenant tip. It looks like the coronavirus has raised its head yet again when it comes to landlord-tenant law. I've just reviewed from the Department of Health and Human Services Centers for Disease Control and Prevention what is filed under Building Code 4163-18-P as in Paul, if you're interested in doing a Google search for it. There is a new order that should be effective September 4th, 2020, that is again putting a moratorium, this time on a national level, not just of those residences that have maybe loans backed by Fannie Mae or mortgages backed by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. This is all of them. Putting a moratorium because apparently evictions spread COVID. Once again, we have a trampling of the rights of property owners, in my opinion. But here's the gist of what you've got. This order coming down from the CDC, and they go, I mean, it's a lengthy order. You're more than welcome, again, if you'll do a search for Billing Code 4163-18-P, you'll be able to find this just with a quick Google search, and this is coming from the cdc.gov website. This moratorium is going to go into effect, it looks like it's going to go into effect September 4th. And will extend through December 31st. Now, it is not as bad as ones previously because it does put some onus on the tenant to do some things. But let's go through this briefly. Again, the effective date looks like it's going to be September 4th through December 31st. Under this order, a landlord, owner of a residential property, or other person with a legal right to pursue eviction or possessory action shall not evict any covered person from any residential property in any jurisdiction to which this order applies during the effective period of the order. Now, okay, so where does it apply? Basically, it's not going to apply anywhere that has stronger moratoriums on evictions. So in West Tennessee, this is going to apply. So what's a covered person? Well, a covered person, this is rich. A covered person is any tenant, lessee, or resident of a residential property who provides to their landlord, the owner of the residential property, or other person with a legal right to pursue eviction or a possessory action, that's your management companies, a declaration under the penalty of perjury indicating these things. Number one, the individual has used best efforts to obtain all available government assistance for rent or housing. Number two, the individual either one expects to earn no more than $99,000 of annual income for the calendar year 2020, or no more than $198,000 if filing a joint tax return. Number two, was not required to report any income in 2019 to the U.S. Internal Revenue Service, or number three, received an economic impact payment or a stimulus check pursuant to Section 2201 of the CARES Act. Most people receive one of these. Then the third requirement, so you got one, best efforts for government assistance. Number two, those financial requirements. Number three, the individual is unable to pay the rent, pay the full rent, or make a full housing payment due to substantial loss of household income, loss of compensable hours of work or wages, a layoff, or extraordinary out-of-pocket medical expenses. Extraordinary out-of-pocket medical expenses is any unreimbursed medical expenses likely to exceed 7.5% of one's adjusted gross income for the year. Number four, the individual is using best interest to make timely partial payments that are as close to the full payment as the individual's circumstances may permit, taking into account other non-discretionary expenses. What does that mean? And number five, eviction would likely render the individual homeless or force the individual to move into and live in close quarters in a new congregate or shared living setting because the individual has no other available housing options. This also includes that declaration or something to that effect. Now, again, this doesn't go into effect until the tenant hands you this document that they've signed under penalty of perjury. It also goes on to say that this does not alleviate any requirements to pay rent, that at the end of this, moratorium as of December, say January 1, 2021, if they don't extend it, which is always possible, that the landlord may want everything, all the back rent. It specifically says these persons are still required to pay rent and follow all other terms of their lease and rules of the place where they live. These persons may also, here's one key, the person can still be evicted for other reasons other than paying the rent. So if they're damaging the property, if they're doing any illegal activity, they can still be evicted, and this doesn't apply. So that's at least something. But the bottom line is, we've seen this. With the last moratorium, we've seen this. If they're not going to pay the rent, they're not going to pay it after you evict them. They're not going to pay it when this moratorium is lifted and we can actually go ahead and proceed with eviction action. You're going to be chasing them for the money. So thanks a lot, CDC. Thanks a lot, President Trump, for signing off on this. And I'm a Trump fan, just for those who are wondering. I thought he's done a good job, but I'm not happy with this. So this isn't a political thing for me. It's a rights of the individual, the property owners thing for me. But yeah, this is an issue. Now, here's the best part. The criminal penalties that go along with this if you try to pursue an eviction action and this is done. Talk about blowing up, making a mountain out of a molehill. A person violating this order may be subject to a fine of no more than $100,000 if the violation does not result in a death or 1 year in jail or both, or a fine of no more than $250,000 if the violation results in the death or 1 year in jail or both, or otherwise is provided by law. And if it's an organization doing it, then we're looking at fines of $200,000 per event if the violation doesn't result in death, and $500,000 if it does result in death or otherwise provided by law. Well, here's what does that mean? Does that mean somebody gets evicted and they get COVID and they happen to die from COVID, and all of a sudden you're hit with a possible jail time or anywhere from $100,000 to $250,000 fine? I mean, come on, what are we doing? One other thing, just to keep things in perspective, I did a quick search since the cutoff is $99,000 worth of annual income. According to bestplaces.net, the average income for a resident in Jackson, Tennessee is $22,964 per year, with the U.S. average being $28,555 per year. The median household income, which is usually when you're dealing with husband and wife or two life partners, however you want to phrase it, that annual income is $37,988 a year. This is if you're making $99,000 or not going to make, don't think you're going to make $99,000 in 2020 by yourself, or $198,000 if you're filing a joint tax return with someone else. And they go into this lovely little explanation of how they came up with this number, that the national two-bedroom housing wage in 2020 was $23.96 per hour, or approximately $49,837 annually, meaning that the required hourly wage to spend 30% of your income on a modest two-bedroom house is $23.96. If you're in Hawaii, you got to make $38.76 an hour, or $80,621 annually to do this. That's what they're basing it on. So, Tennessee, West Tennessee especially, is blessed with a fairly low cost of living when you look at the national average. So, we get tagged on this, in my opinion. I've ranted about this now for 10 minutes, so I'm going to move on. My name's Dusty King. I'm an attorney at King & King in Jackson, Tennessee. This is your landlord-tenant tip of the week. If you have any questions, need to contact me, feel free to do so. Phone number is 731-664-6864, or you can check us out online. Our website is www.kingplc. That's K-I-N-G, P as in Paul, L as in Larry, C as in Charlie.com, or you can check us out on Facebook. Thanks again and have a good one.